The Shoshone County Sheriff has declared a state of emergency over flooding concerns. Tonight, we take a look at the conditions. Kootenai County Sheriff Bob Norris has revoked the special deputy privileges of the Coeur d'Alene and Rathdrum police chiefs. We are going over how that impacts those communities.
Flooding from recent rain and snowmelt remains a big concern as calmer weather settles into the inland northwest.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. We start with some breaking news. Rivers across the inland northwest flooding tonight. In Clark Fork and Bonner County, rivers washed away roads. We just confirmed the Bonner County Sheriff issuing a go-now evacuation order for the area near Spring Creek Road. Meanwhile, the Shoshone County Sheriff declaring a state of emergency just within the last few hours. The flooding has authorities and residents on high alert tonight. KREM 2's Christian Garza is at Clark Fork right now with a live look at the conditions and the latest information. Christian?
Well, it wasn't just the roadways that got washed out here in Clark Fork. Actually, their whole main water system was actually washed out as well, forcing them to use a backup. So now the whole town of Clark Fork is under a water boiling advisory. Now, the fight against the rising water started around 2:30 this morning. The Clark Fork Fire Department says close to 100 people had to be evacuated from their homes alongside with both the Spring Creek and Lightning Creeks as water surrounded many homes, trapping some of those homeowners. Now, CFFD used inflatable boats to get to those people who were trapped. Now, Wes John, the incident commander with CFFD, says the wet conditions have made it harder to get to everybody who needs help, and now crews are bracing for another round of that wet weather tonight.
Well, what's really made it difficult is our main road going in is not passable anymore. It's crumbled off into the river. And our secondary way to get in is through some private property and it's mudding out. So we're trying to evacuate now while the road's still holding up. The county's in there trying to keep it up enough so we can get people out, but it's been a fight.
Now, John says that crews will be working around the clock to make sure that everybody is evacuated safely here across the area. 2 evacuation sites have been set up, one here in the town of Clark Fork, the other one at the fairgrounds at Sandpoint. So if one gets full, there is still another place where people can go to be safe. In Clark Fork, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
All right, Christian, thank you very much. A dramatic rescue in Kingston this morning as Silver Valley Fire and Shoshone County Sheriff's deputies rescued 3 people, including a child who were trapped in their home. They weren't able to get out because of swift water moving with those floodwaters. No one was hurt. That rescue happened 8 miles up Coeur d'Alene River Road at around 11 o'clock this morning. On that note, let's get right outside right now. The chief meteorologist and Jeremy the Goof for more on this flooding and when things, Jeremy, might start to get better.
Mark, it's an interesting one the way this all plays out. I do think things will start to improve quickly. However, I don't think we are through the worst of the flooding yet. It does look like those rivers will continue to rise for the next few hours. By the time we get to tomorrow afternoon, we will see improvements. By Saturday morning, I think some of the rivers and streams that are worst hit right now we'll see those waters subside. Here in Spokane or over in Coeur d'Alene, I think your high water is still yet to come because all of that water has to move downstream. We're under those flood warnings, both for where Christian is and the Coeur d'Alene River near Cataldo. Widespread rain is already winding down. That's a good thing. We have a little bit of moisture down across the Palouse, and we'll continue to hang on to that, with it eventually moving up to the north and dying down a little more. I don't think we can expect too much more. And tomorrow, most of us wind up cloudy with light mist coming down. That winds up being about the extent of it. Saturday, a bit of a break. Our chance of showers returns on Sunday ahead of a more widespread round of rain moving into the region early next week. It's a big shift, but at least we get a few days break before it hits.
Sounds good, Jeremy. We'll check back in with you later in the show tonight. And stay with us as we continue to track historic flooding across Washington state. Get the latest updates on weather in the Pacific Northwest and beyond in our Weather Out West series. It is streaming right now on KREM 2+. Just download on your TV and watch for free. Well, tonight, Coeur d'Alene and Rathdrum's police chiefs can no longer act outside their city limits. That's according to public records obtained by our news partners over at the Coeur d'Alene Press. Those records state that Kootenai County Sheriff made the call. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley is in Coeur d'Alene to explain what that means for law enforcement in your community.
Kootenai County Sheriff Bob Norris took away special deputy status for the police chiefs in Coeur d'Alene and Rathdrum. This came as a surprise to those agencies who say there may be some impacts going forward.
In Idaho, city police can only act inside their city limits unless it's an emergency or another agency calls them in. But sheriffs can grant something called special deputy status, which lets those officers operate county-wide. Without it, police chiefs Lee White and Dan Haley can now only use policing powers within their city boundaries.
I was surprised. There's always that question that comes up as to why it occurred.
Chief Haley says people living in Rathdrum won't see any major changes, and while Haley can no longer operate countywide, he's relieved that most of his officers still can.
One of the easiest ways to explain the change is I see a traffic infraction at one of the lights on Highway 41 going to Post Falls. Once I'm outside of the city limits, I am no longer able to stop that person.
And Chief White in Coeur d'Alene says SWAT will likely see the biggest impact. He told me Coeur d'Alene officers make up about 2/3 of the county's joint agency SWAT team. Both city and county SWAT members will still jointly respond to calls. But White says the sheriff's office will have complete control of individual city officers on what they can or can't do without any oversight from Coeur d'Alene PD leadership. Meantime, Chief Haley hopes the sheriff will reinstate this status.
I would like to continue to be able to be a force multiplier for the residents even outside of Rathdrum. I live and work in Kootenai County, and so I care about what occurs within that jurisdiction.
The sheriff's office says Sheriff Norris will not be commenting on the issue, but Chief White says this all stems from the sheriff being unhappy about the investigation into his involvement in the February town hall incident. Reporting in Coeur d'Alene, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
Turning to some good news tonight. Over a year into his recovery, an Idaho firefighter is finally heading home. Last August, a tree hit Justin Shaw while he was helping to fight the coffee can saddle fire in the Nez Perce Clearwater National Forest. Shaw suffered a traumatic brain injury and now uses a wheelchair. He's been recovering at multiple facilities across the country and is currently at a facility in Omaha, Nebraska. After 6 surgeries and 16 months of rehabilitation, he is set to fly home on Monday. A car crash near St. Mary's has left 1 person dead tonight. ISP says earlier this morning a 55-year-old woman was traveling northbound on State Highway 3 when she lost control of her vehicle. She went off the road and slammed into a tree. That driver sustained critical injuries and was taken to a local hospital where she later died. ISP is investigating the cause of that crash tonight. All right, stick around. We still have more news to cover here on KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. Thousands of people in western Washington have evacuated due to flooding. The latest details coming up in about 15 minutes tonight. And reaction pouring in after the U.S. military seized a Venezuelan oil tanker. Stay tuned.